Hi, Dawn. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Natalie Rizzo, I brought a little horn for us like this, a little celebration horn, because I'll tell you what, I am so excited to be on your podcast. It is an awesome podcast, and this is going to be a great day.
I am so excited to talk to you. And the reason that I wanted to talk to you was because I still think about this one talk you gave. I think it was back in June, and I'm sure you've said this a million times, but I was at an event and you were talking about how you studied joy. And I think about that all the time because, I'm an older millennial and I feel like I didn't grow up talking about mental health much, but I've kind of embraced it in as an adult. And I think about it more like, especially as my kids are driving me crazy, that you can study joy, you can choose joy. So can you just talk about a little bit about that, where that even came from for you?
Yes. Okay. So I'm glad that I'm stuck in your head, first of all. I like that I'm in there. I like that I'm in there. Well, it all started, as many things do, with a crumble, downtrodden world that I was living in. I was doing all the things. I had TV shows, I had magazine articles, I had books, I had all the things that were supposed to make me happy and joyful, but I didn't feel it. And I was like, what is going on? Is this what life is? And so I hired a coach and I said, listen, I want to have more joy in my career. So I started really focusing on joy in my career. And I started noticing the more fun I was having, the more success I was having. I was like, what? This is so interesting. So then I started looking at research. I even took a class at Stanford, the class of the science of joy. And I started experimenting in my own life. I started experimenting with clients. And I was like, this stuff is real. Fun actually has, or joy, has these biochemical things that happen in our brain that gives us more energy, more motivation, more creativity. And it's like, this stuff isn't fluff. This is actually science. And so then when I sort of said, what is going on here? The bottom line to me is like joy and fun flip this motivation switch on in us. And it's like, you think about it, this is like not that complicated. It's like if you want to do a habit and it's actually fun, you keep doing it naturally without trying. Otherwise, if you have a habit and it's painful, you could force yourself to do it for a short period of time, but you really don't keep doing it. So, whatever it is you want to do, if you're adding more joy to it, it's a success tool and it's biochemical.
Yeah. I feel like anyone I ever see talk about, like an entrepreneur that created a business that exploded, doesn't talk about, well, I was thinking about how am I going to make more money or that kind of stuff. They always think about like, one, maybe there was a need in the market, but two, this is something that I thought was fun and I wanted to do more of it. And a lot of times that breeds success.
Yeah. And I was a really serious kid. I did not come from a foundation of fun. And
I would
so
have
it
never
really
guessed
took me,
that, by the way.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Super serious. And in fact, on my way to college, my dad was driving me back and he said, I really need to tell you that, college is more than just studying and good grades. Like, you need to let loose a little. I was like, you don't know what I'm trying to accomplish. You have no idea. I'm a very serious foundation. So it really took me understanding that there's a science of it and testing it in my own life to believe it. Cause I actually just thought it was a bunch of fluff and that people were having fun, did not have their eyes set on success. But in fact, the opposite is true. The more fun you're having, the more success you will find.
God, I can't even believe that because anyone who knows you knows that you're always wearing these colorful outfits and you have a bedazzled mic right now and you're jumping rope and all of this stuff, which is why, like, I would never believe that. So it's so good to kind of see your evolution throughout the years. And I wanted to specifically talk to you about bringing joy into nutrition and really fueling and some things that sometimes don't feel fun. They feel like a chore, especially because I know you've worked with professional athletes and I work with a lot of athletes and I am a marathon runner and I'm, sucking down gels and drinking sports drinks that I don't even like. So, but I do it because I actually love running. So is there a way to incorporate joy into fueling and nutrition?
The answer is absolutely yes. So, thank you for being so excited about my finding joy because, it was a rock bottom that created this monster in me. So, thanks for your enthusiasm about it. But, going to your question about this idea of people shoulding themselves, I really should exercise, I really should eat right. the more shoulds you have in your life, the more shouldy your life is. Like, it's not good. And so the big switch for me, and actually you're doing it in kind of the example you're talking about, is switching from long-term goals and long-term motivation to immediate benefits. That is the mindset shift that changes everything. And so here's an example when it comes to training, or fueling or whatever. A lot of people say, "Oh, you know what? I should be exercising and eating right. I should be having this many grams of carbs or whatever." And then they say to themselves, okay, and why am I doing this? Because in the long run, I will be faster, or I will lose weight, or I will have health benefits or whatever. Everybody thinks about these long-term things. It's like, no, we are not wired for long-term. That's why people have trouble saving money. It's why people have trouble with anything long-term. Instead, it's better to think about the short-term motivations. And that's like, hey, listen, I'm eating this gel because, man, my runs are way more fast and fun when I have this gel. Or like, hey, you know what? I actually love this is mine for real. I love how glowy my skin is after a workout. I'm like, oh my gosh. Or I love how confident I feel after a weight training session. I mean, I walk out of there feeling pumped and confident and like strong. And like I could go to the dentist without being a sissy after one of those workouts. Like focusing on the energy that I have after a workout or after a great lunch. It's like all those short term things. That's how we're wired. Focusing on that is the opposite of advice that we always get. It's like, what are your long-term goals? Focus on the why, your long-term values. It's like, I get it, but listen, people, let's work with how we're wired instead of not. And when you're doing that, magic happens.
Yeah, no, I actually just did a speed workout yesterday that I kind of hate speed workouts, but I kind of like them after they're done because I'm like, oh my God. Like this one was one that I wasn't really feeling it. And then I was doing it and my headphones talked to me. So it was said like 1 mile split and it was something like an 8 minute pace, which is really fast for me. And then I literally said out loud to myself, hell yeah, Natalie. Cause
Yes.
I feel like sometimes you have to, pump yourself up.
I love it. Yeah. And in the moment of like, hell yeah, Natalie, like, look at how fast you're going. And like, this is amazing. Like, so I know that, this long term goal setting is like what people do. But if you really want to stay motivated, focusing on that short term rush is how we're wired.
Yeah. Do you think that for people who sometimes can't find the motivation to do things, whether it's exercise or even fueling, because it's hard for them to wrap their brain around it before they do it, is there any kind of tips for that? Is it just picturing the outcome?
Yeah, I think that especially if you've done it once before, even just once before, recalling the memory of like, you know what? I don't like this speed workout, but I love how I feel during it. Remember I was saying like, hell yeah, Natalie, and I was like pumped the rest of the day and I was feeling proud of myself. It's like, yeah, just go to that recollection. I think is huge. And the other thing, we do know this is nobody has to guess on this one. We do know that music is motivating and a lot of people turn music on while they're working out, but you can set the stage by turning on music before you work out and actually get those endorphins going and like, okay, yeah, I'm feeling pumped. So you can use memory, but you can also use music, I think is a big one for exercise. But there is this like secret that I have uncovered for really harnessing joy. Joy is not a mindset. Like a lot of people just think, oh, joy is a mindset. Joy is not a mindset. Joy is a skill set. It is something that you can practice every day. And just like your muscles, it can grow. And naturally, you can see joy in more places that used to give you frustration. So I give people a 30-day joy GPS sort of challenge. And this is what I've come up with all the studying I've done. I'm like, listen, I want to be able to have this skill set that I can keep going back to and not have fake toxic positivity, but truly have this foundation of joy. And so a joy GPS journal for 30 days is really what it is. And GPS is an acronym. And why it's an acronym is because I freaking
You
love
love
acronyms.
acronyms.
I mean,
Yes.
come on, people. Acronym helps you remember it. And so GPS is the acronym. So, just like a GPS helps you find your way, Joy GPS helps you find more joy and really build that skill set. So, what GPS stands for is the G is gratitude. So I say for 30 days, you keep this really quick thing in your phone. I love a phone list of things. So you're just writing down quick gratitude things. Like it could have fitness related, it could be food related, it could be anything related. It does not have to be dramatic. The other day I had vision on mine because I was like, isn't it cool that we can see like vision? It doesn't have to be a million words. It could be like one word, whatever. And it's like, oh, door person. Like I have this door person who's pretty nice. So I was like, door person, whatever. It doesn't have to be big. Cup of coffee, 60-degree day in the middle of fall, whatever. So writing gratitude, it shifts your mindset to start looking for things that you're grateful for. And pretty soon you don't even have to do it. This becomes natural. But the G also started to be something else. I started reading more research, which again, this is sort of a no-brainer, but I think it's good to outline it, is giving joy actually brings you joy. So part of the joy GPS experiment is not only you're writing gratitude, you write one thing. I usually do 3 gratitudes and 1 giving. It's probably a weird ratio, but what's one thing you did to give joy out today? And I think, oh, you know what? I said hello to a sad looking stranger on the elevator. That was mine the other day. I was like, it doesn't have to be, I gave $1 million to a charity. That could be great, but it can be everyday joys you give to people. So the G is both gratitude and giving. Then you have the P, GPS. P is play. We know that play is directly related to feelings of joy. Play does not have to be like, oh, I'm doing a Foursquare game or I'm, doing a hula hoop or whatever. You don't have to be like super childish. It could be, play could be like, oh, I had music on while I was brushing my teeth. That was more playful than I usually am. Whatever. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but you record this. What's one thing that you did that was playful today? And then the S is self-care. What's one thing that you did today that was self-care? And self-care, you got to remember, is not just bubble baths and manicures. Like
Mhm.
self-care is, I am so proud of myself for eating lunch. Like, amen, hallelujah. I am so proud of myself for going to bed on time so that I could get a full 8 hours of sleep. Connection is self-care. I am so proud of myself for texting my friend and scheduling, a quick coffee over the weekend or whatever. Like self-care is, connection. It is sleep. It is stress management. I'm so proud of myself for doing a 5-minute meditation, whatever. So anyway, my challenge of Joy GPS is for 30 days, can you write down gratitude, giving, play, and self-care? And you are bad at it usually for the first week. Like it is kind of hard to find gratitude things. It's kind of hard to figure out what's playful. This kind of annoying exercise to do. But all of a sudden, it starts clicking. And then all of a sudden, you go, my gosh, I can't believe this is like changing who I am as a person. Let me give you an example. I was on the
Please.
train the other day and I looked up at a sign on the train and it was like this digital sign, like telling me exactly what stop I was at. And I was like, I love that sign. How helpful that sign is. Like, isn't that a lovely sign? And I was like, what is going on? Like, you start finding these weird little gratitudes everywhere. I was drinking this morning out of a mug, and I was like, I love the top of this mug. It's so great because it's a great flow into my mouth. It's great. And so I was like, this exercise of like 30 days of GPS logging change how your brain works. It's neuroplasticity, baby. This is science.
Yeah, no, and I love kind of going back to the beginning of what you said. This is genuine. This is not like toxic positivity. I am not the type of person who likes, you know, inauthentic people. I will be
True,
completely straightforward. Like
true.
I like people who are pragmatic. I like straightforward. And I like you like and I don't feel like this is inauthentic at all. Like this is 100% genuine. And I love that you're saying it's a skill set that you can acquire. Do you think that people can want just on a technicality. Can you repeat for instance the things you're grateful for? Or should
Yeah,
it be something new
sometimes,
every day?
yeah. And actually, you know what? Even going back to how this all began for me is one of the assignments I got was write down your joys of the week. Or no, I'm sorry. It was gratitudes for the week. And I came back in 7 days to my coach and I said, I have 0 things on this list. I have absolutely nothing that's I'm grateful for. I have nothing that I'm joyful for. I don't even know how to do this experiment. I have no idea. And so then she pulled back and was like, okay, let's just do, let's make it more fun. Let's make it just a joy journal. Just look at your joy. 7 days. Could not come up with anything. I was like in such a freaking funk that I couldn't come up with anything. So to answer your question, yes, repeat it if you need to. Like struggle through doing this. And all of a sudden something clicks and you're like, oh my gosh, I am grateful for coffee. And that is not what people tell you to be grateful for. They tell you, be grateful for bigger things, whatever. Sometimes you're in the dumps and you need to just focus on like the tiniest little thing. And then once you do, all of a sudden, like I said, this 30-day challenge, all of a sudden it becomes easier. You're like, I don't even need to repeat my gratitudes anymore. Like, I'm grateful for a train sign, baby. I'm grateful for my coffee lid. Like, it becomes ridiculous.
I like that. And that, going back to even just how this relates to kind of fueling and nutrition and even running, which is what I do a lot of. I had another podcast with a coach who she basically in her 40s ran a sub 3 marathon and, trained incredibly. But she stopped running after that because she basically said, like, I got so burnt out. I didn't think it was fun anymore and all of that, which I thought was so interesting because I run specifically more now as a mom of 2 kids, which people always say, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, because I love it more now. Because to me, this is the part of my life that's super fun. Like, I have so much fun doing it. I like going to races. I like the training. I like being able to, get myself to run faster and all of that stuff. So if I do your homework, which I think I'm going to now because it sounds fun to do, I think a lot of that would be the things that I would be writing down.
Yeah, and I love that. But what is interesting about logging GPS for 30 days, your gratitude you're giving, your play and your self-care, is that it can't help but rush in and trickle everywhere. So when you're like, well, how does this? This is a training and fueling podcast. Like, why am I doing a GPS journal of joy? Like, what is happening? Here's the deal, is it changes everything. So you may not be recording anything about your running, but all of a sudden, if you are a more joyful person, you can't help but to have joy everywhere. So, listen, I don't think this is necessarily easy and it's not something you can stop because I got cocky, baby. Man, did I get cocky. I was like, I'm so joyful. I don't need to do this stupid logging anymore. I was like, I don't need it. Look how great I am. And guess what? That old self-talk, those same old toxic stories, living very low vibe, it comes back. It comes back. Oh, so that's why it's a skill set. You just practicing it and it starts going everywhere. And you know what? There's no shame in finding a rock bottom, honestly. I kind of love it because then it reminds me how powerful this is.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about when your motivation dips or you're just in a bad mood or your hormones are out of whack. Like, what do you do to bring yourself back to that joyful state, which you kind of just said? You go on this, you look up your GPS.
Yep. It really goes back to that. And sometimes when I just need like an easy fix, like I'm just really frustrated in the moment. And, the Joy GPS journaling is more of this like foundational stuff of how you see your world. But like, I mean, sometimes maybe just need a little quick fix. And the quick fix for me is how can I make this 5% more fun? I'll be doing a slide deck and I am wanting to poke my eyes out. I am literally, I do not want to do this. I am sick of doing this. I want to, just like cry. And I'm like, I need to have an intern do this. I cannot do this anymore. And then I said, wait a second, what a bad attitude. I'm like, how can you make this 5% more fun? I'm like, oh, I could add more pink to this slide deck. I was like, that would be more fun. I could take out a lot less words and make it like cool, fun font or whatever, whatever. I could be listening to music. I could go lay on the floor right now and just get myself together. So, the quick fix is asking yourself, how can I make this 5% more fun? And in fact, I have something on my phone where it pops up randomly and it says, are you having fun? And I'll be like in the middle of doing dishes or I'll be in the middle of, like prepping something, meal or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Thank you for reminding me. And so one of the things that I think is really clutch that I have learned, like probably I should have started with this actually, is if you want a joy amplifier in your life, it is being present. If you want a joy killer in your life, it is multitasking. And that is how it is. And I did not believe this to be true I practiced it, I tested it, I experimented with it. I did a joy experiment. I do those all the time. The joy experiment was if I actually single task my life and really only focus on one thing at a time, will I get more or less done? And will I be more or less, productive, whatever? Because I thought multitasking was how you get stuff done. Well, guess what? I did the joy experiment and I got more done on the day that I was focused on single tasking, and it naturally breeded more joy in my day. Less anxiety, less frustrations. It is incredible. And so now I really chunk my day in order of importance. Biggest fire, to the lowest fire. Usually my whole day is filled with fires, I feel, and like deadlines and due dates and fires. But I organize them in a way of like, I know this is the top fire to work on. I'm not going to think about the other fires right now.
Yeah.
Do it with enthusiasm, do it with presence, do it with joy, and then move on to the next fire. But it really is the key. So I also notice in terms of, when I say I'm not having a good day, I'm like, it's likely you could add 5% more fun, or it's likely that you're multitasking in your mind and you need to simmer down now and come up with a priority list of one thing at a time.
It's interesting because I feel like we're always taught to multitask. Like,
God,
that's what
yes.
everyone should be doing.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of find the same. Like, if I'm watching a TV show I really like, now instinctively, sometimes you'll just reach for your phone, even though you're watching a TV show. And I'm like, I don't need that right now. Like, I like this show. So,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. The only thing I will do watching TV is this Joy GPS journal. I love doing it like at night after my day. And I love to just put it in my phone and just like, boom, have it and be done. Um, and not make a big deal out of it. Like it's got to be some long journal or some long thought out thing. It is quickies to start training your brain.
yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. In terms of nutrition, let's say, people will say, okay, I get the most joy from eating a brownie instead of eating a salad. How do you respond to something like that and take nutrition into account? Or is joy not really a part of that? This is more about health.
Okay, this is easy for me.
Okay.
I absolutely love this idea of how do you bring more joy into fueling. There is one very clear answer, and that is you always start with what you want to eat, and the second step is balancing it. Third step is owning it, enjoying it, and moving on. So it's called the want, balance, own system. And it is a miracle for anyone who wants to have optimal nutrition and do it in the most joyful way. And here's why it's different than what everybody is doing. Everybody knows what's healthy food. And they're like, okay, I know I should be eating healthy food. And then they try and make meals out of healthy food, never, ever asking what you want to eat. Are you kidding me? That is the number one first question you must ask yourself if you want to have a more joyful relationship with food, nutrition, and fueling is what do I want to eat? Step one. And then you can balance it. So say, what do I want to eat? If I honestly really want to eat a brownie, it's like, okay, what can I do to balance it? Hey, how about I crumble it up on Greek yogurt and put a couple raspberries on there? Yeah, baby. Now it feels like I'm fueling and I'm eating what I want. And it's a perfect balance. And it's like, okay, you know what? What if I some days really do want to eat a salad? Great. And it's like, well, how can I balance this to not be so goody two shoe? I could make this a Caesar salad with some baked fries and a piece of steak, and I'm eating steak and fries and Caesar salad. Like, you know what? It doesn't take that much. If you start with the question of what do I want, you can balance it, you can balance it, you can balance it. And then you can't forget the third step. Third step is you got to sit at a table, eat it like you mean it, even if it is 7 minutes, it doesn't have to take you forever. Eat it like you mean it. No guilt, all enjoyment, all satisfaction, and then move on.
I love it.
Yep.
Everything you're
It
saying.
is the answer.
I mean, I feel like it's the way you package things makes it so much more fun, kind of what we're talking about here. Because I'll say the same thing, like have a well balanced meal. Feel free to indulge in what you want, but keep the portions in check. But you're saying it in such a more fun way that it makes it exciting to do it, which that's such a great thing. Yeah, like what do you want to eat? Because I feel like that's how I have always ate. Is I go for what I want first, but then I try to make it healthier in some
Yep.
capacity. which
It's great.
really,
I mean,
yeah,
it literally is the answer, and it has to go in that order. Like, if you're not doing it in that order, you're doing it wrong. Like, it has to start with, "What do I want to eat?" and then balance it. End of story, over and out. Like, it is I could not stand by something more than the want, balance, own system.
yeah. And that's the way also to like long term behavior that, if people go on these kind of crash diets or they think that they're going to change their diet in a certain way. And I live in the plant-based space, so I see people who will, on a dime, I'm going vegan, and then it's like they didn't want to go vegan, they just thought it was healthier for them, and that doesn't necessarily work. So yeah, it's got to be something that works for you because you want to do it.
Well, yeah, and, it's like, "Okay, I wanna eat more plant-based." Fabulous, I love that. So start with, what do you want to eat? It's like, "Oh, I want to eat, whatever." It's like, chick nuggets or whatever. It's like, "Oh, you know what? I did see a cool recipe for air fryer tofu bites. You know what? That could feel similar. Maybe I give that a try." Open-mindedness, a little whimsy, give it a try. If you like it, great. If not, move on. You don't have to try it again. I do think that, the question of, what do I want to eat, people never start with it, and it's the answer and the solution for everything.
Yes. I would also say the same. Do you think it's the same for exercise? Because I always talk about like running for me is what I love to do. I do still strength train. This morning I did 10 minutes of yoga just to basically all of it is to supplement the running to make me a stronger runner. But I do it based on the fact that I like it. Do you think that? I mean, I kind of know what your answer is going to be
Yes,
here, but
Natalie Rizzo, you are onto it. Yes. It goes back to our very first question of, would you like to use a natural motivation switch that you have inside of you? Would you like natural motivation? If you would, you have a switch, and that switch is based 100% on fun. And so, all you need to do, if you want to have a healthy habit, all you need to do is figure out how to make it fun. Is it, jump rope? Is it running? Is it yoga? Is it Pilates? Whatever. Find something fun. Maybe even the exercise you're doing, it's not even a fun way to do it. So some people love to run with people. Okay, great. I do not like to weightlift by myself. I love to weightlift with friends. So I weightlift with friends. There's always a way to take something and make it more fun, and naturally you flip the motivation switch. In fact, I was at a coffee place, whatever, and this guy said, for years and years and years and years, I see you go to the gym every single day. And I've always wanted to ask you, how do you find the motivation to do that? And I said, exactly what you said, Natalie, is I don't have to find the motivation. It's switched on in me. I'm doing something fun I enjoy. I wake up, I get excited to do it, because guess what? I have a bunch of friends at the gym. We goof around and have fun. We lift heavy weights. We go on walks together that we're laughing, and it's so fun. And then I come home, and that's my version of motivation switch, because I'm enjoying that. And everybody, there is not one person out there, even if they have the worst relationship with exercise and the worst relationship with food, there's not one person that can't find fun in both of those things.
yeah. Tell people about your jump roping because I think anyone who doesn't know, you got to follow Dawn on Instagram and see her jump roping. She's literally, I would say, a professional at this point. How did that even start? And
Oh my
I mean, I'm
gosh,
assuming that's kind of a one of your fun things that you like to
100%.
do.
100%. Also, I took up recently quad roller skating, like the old fashioned roller skating. So that's
Yes,
also now eating some time away from my jump rope, because I've been loving my roller skating, dressing up like an 80s girl and going out with good music. Oh my gosh, I love it.
I love
Anyway,
it.
the jump rope is, I would say, also to your point, I'm a professional in that I've gotten paid several times, 3, to
Yes,
jump rope. So I
amazing.
will say, there we go,
Yeah, no, I mean,
pro.
truly, you like got to see the videos. But yeah, tell us where it started.
So here's the thing. I'm a gym girl. I love gym, like friends and everything. And then the pandemic hit and my gym closed. And I live in downtown Chicago, and I was actually kind of scared to even run outside. I was like, people were like, don't breathe by anybody, So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? So I had a jump rope, and I had gone to a jump rope class once before and hated it. I hated it. It was so frustrating. I was so bad at it. I was like, I will never do this. So I put the jump rope far away, shoved it somewhere. And when the pandemic hit, I was like, I guess I have to pull that stupid thing out. and this is the only thing I could think of. And so the girl who was teaching the jump rope class that I hated, and I'm using the word hate. I hate to use the word hate, but I literally hated it. And I said, "Oh my gosh, she's starting to do jump rope on Instagram." And so I pulled my jump rope out. I went to the garage, like the dark, dingy garage, and I would watch her Instagram doing jump rope. So I started doing jump rope. And about the third time, I unlocked like a skill. And I was like, maybe I am great at this. And so I started getting excited that I could get better at a skill. I love listening to music. And so I was like blasting music in my ears, jumping rope, dancing around with it. And all of a sudden, with enough practice of anything, you really can get good at it. So I started getting better and better, and really, it goes back to, I did not like jumping rope, but I started liking it because I found a social person to do it with, even if it was via Instagram, it wasn't by myself. So I would do it with this girl on Instagram. And then secondly, I started loving music. So I was playing music while I was doing it. So, it goes back to that, how can you make something 5% more fun? Even if it started with like a loathsome, relationship, it can be fun. And then all of a sudden you start finding fun in it even more. And so I do love jump rope.
Yeah, that's so fun. I mean, that's fun is the word of the episode, obviously, but
Yeah,
that
exactly.
is, yeah, and
Exactly.
yeah, and it's interesting how things start and evolve over time. Because I started running because I just wanted a new goal when I turned 30. I started when I was 29, and I really only wanted to run one race. I was like, let me just get
Oh
through
my
this one
gosh.
race, and I signed up for a half marathon. And then after I did the race, which at the time I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to like do the full thing, but I did it. I finished. And then I kind of thought to myself, well, I did all of this training. What am I going to do? Just let this go to waste now? So I just continued doing it. And then I had more fun with it. I signed up for more races. And so it is interesting how all of this sometimes it just starts on a whim or something random and then it evolves
I
into
love
something that you really
that.
enjoy.
What a very cool story. And I feel like that is also very encouraging, that it's like that, you could start at any time because,
Hmm.
a lot of times you think, that runner, oh, she must have run when she was a kid and must have run in high school or college and like, oh, whatever. And to think like you just out of the blue were like, you know what? I'm going to try running. That's very
Yeah.
cool. And then look at what it's become. Very inspiring.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. And so anyway, I wanted to do a game with you because you were the person that would be obviously quote unquote
Love it.
fun
Bring it
to do a
on.
game with. So we're going to do a game called Fuel Joy or Kill Joy, and I'm just going to give you like a few things and you tell me if this is something that fuels joy for you or kills joy for you. And these are just random things and
Love this. Hey,
so,
and you know what? Natalie, thank you for thinking about doing a game. And this is the exact example. It's like if you're doing a podcast and you're not having as much fun with it, it's like, okay, what can I do to have more fun? Oh, maybe I'll play a game with these guests. Oh, maybe I'll wear a fringe pink shirt or whatever. It's like good for you. You were literally living the life of somebody who is trying to have more fun and joy. Very cool. Thank you.
yeah, of course. Well, you know what it comes from is just like listening to other podcasts and then being on other podcasts and seeing these kinds of things and thinking to myself, exactly, like that is fun. Learning it, adapting it. This is setting me up for the great rest of my day. Just talking to
Love it.
you.
Love it.
Okay, so random things. How about smoothie bowls? Do those fuel joy for you or kill joy for you?
Fuel joy. I love to eat smoothies with a spoon. I feel like they are so much more satisfying when you're eating them with a spoon. Plus, you get all of the fun toppings. So, yeah, fuel joy.
What about rest days?
My, come on, fuel joy. And here's why. I am a huge believer in joy experiments. So give yourself a rest day, and it can be an active rest day and like a fun walk with a girlfriend, whatever. And then see your workout the next day. That's why I'm a believer, baby, is because when I started adding rest, I got stronger, faster, more endurance. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, is this what rest does? It's like, that's amazing. So yeah, fuel joy.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for saying that because you almost have to pull teeth with runners to get them to rest. And
Yep.
it's like rest is important. So, yes, rest days. What about morning workouts? Are you a morning workout person?
Oh, yeah, I'm a fuel joy morning workout. I love to start my day with endorphins and feel good chemicals. And I sometimes, maybe 99% of the time, wake up with demons, I feel. And so I like to work them out. I see my friends do that. Yeah, definitely fuel joy morning workouts.
Okay, great. What about quote unquote clean eating?
Okay, so I'm gonna say killjoy
Yeah.
because I have really worked on a judgment detox, like just trying not to be so judgy. Not so judgy of myself, not so judgy of other people, not so judgy of my food, not so judgy. And guess what? When you start living with less judgment of yourself and others and food, yeah, magic happens, baby. So, yeah, don't judge. Don't call your foods good, bad, clean, dirty, whatever.
Good. Love it. Meal prep?
It is a Okay, I'm gonna say this. It is a killjoy for me, but I do ingredient prep. So I am
Okay.
not anti meal prep. I am pro ingredient prep. And what that means to me is I'm not going to make a big batch of one thing and keep eating it, but I am going to make big batches of a great kale salad that I love. I'm going to make big batches of grilled chicken. I'm going to make big batches of sweet potato fries. I'm going to make big batches of like egg cups. You know, I'm going to make big batches of stuff. And then it's so much easier to put together meals. When you have grilled chicken in your fridge already made, it is a miracle. So ingredient prep all the way, baby.
I know. And I like that you said for me because it is different for everyone. And one of my favorite things about meal prepping, which I don't get to do it all that often unless I have time, is that I listen to a podcast while I do it. So
Yes,
for me, it's like a fun time. And I always give that recommendation to people. Like if you think you hate cooking, try to listen to an audiobook or a podcast, which I don't know your feelings on that with the multitasking thing. But to me, it adds
I love
joy.
it. I love it. I feel like multitasking is more of like the work
Yeah.
stuff and like, thinking about like while you're running, not how much fun you're having running, but like, thinking about all the things you have to do later. Think about really do the joy experiment. Do a run where all you're thinking about is all the pressure you have coming up in the day, or do a run where you're enjoying a podcast, listening to music, whatever, talking to a friend, different workouts. Same running, different workouts.
Yeah. Okay. Last one. How about workout classes?
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is such a fuel joy. Fuel joy, fuel joy,
Okay,
fuel joy.
good.
I love classes because I love people. I love even when I'm in a bad mood, I like to go in and everyone's like, look, a little Miss Sourpuss over there. I love that they know me. I love that I know them. I love that I can be there for bad days, good days, that they know me so authentically with, no makeup. No, my clothes are cute. I mean, I do wear very colorful, fun workout clothes because I feel like that's fun. But I like that interaction with people quite a lot. Now, will I do, I call them like hot girl walks by myself where I'm listening to a podcast and stuff? Absolutely. I love my alone time just as much. I did it, in fact, yesterday, a whole hour, like just walking meditation, listening to meditation alone, solo. So I think, the mix is important, but it goes back to whatever you find fun is the answer.
Yeah, I like that. I don't always do a lot of workout classes because I have a gym in my building and also they're expensive. But when I do them, a lot of times I end up pushing myself more than I probably would by myself. I remember doing one that I had to push a sled that was like 100 pounds, which seems
Yes.
crazy, but I did it and then I felt great afterward. So I agree with you. Those are fun. And this was fun. And all of this brings me a lot of joy. So I'm so happy that you were here. Thank you.
Oh, you know what? Thank you so much for having me. And yes, I hope you do give that Joy GPS journal a 30-day try, just as a joy experiment. And, asking yourself how 5% more fun things could be. And you don't have to be toxically positive to do this stuff, but it does change your outlook on life and fitness and fueling.
Yes, great. Can people follow where can they follow you? Do you have anything? Do you have that GPS? Like you should have that on your website to download. People
You know,
should create something.
yes. I am in the process right now of doing a app because
Okay.
I love to
Amazing.
log on my phone. And so I'm in the process of creating the Joy GPS app, but yeah, my website is really where all the things that I'm doing and thinking are my links to social and everything, and that's djblatner.com.
Awesome. Thank you.